Hey, this is Kevin. We're going to do a week in review from now on, starting today, February 25th, 2017. Came across this article, Synthesis and Characterization of Tranguline. It's a benzenoid hydrocarbon, or what I believe they called Clar's hydrocarbon. Tranguline was first hypothesized by Czech chemist, excuse my American pronunciation, Eric Clar, in 1953. A potential use of tranguline is in organic spintronic devices. Spintronics is a portmanteau of spin transport electronics. Traditional electronics makes use of the charge state of an electron, but spintronics is fundamentally different in that it looks at the charge state, but in addition to that, it also looks at the spin of the electron. Spintronics is of particular interest in the fields of quantum computing. NASA was in the news this week when it revealed that it had located 7 Earth-sized planets in a star system 35 light-years from Earth. These 7 Earth-sized planets were observed by NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope. For comparative purposes, here is TRAPPIST-1 in relationship to Jupiter and to our own Sun. As you can see, it is not that much bigger than Jupiter. 3 of these planets are in the habitable zone for TRAPPIST-1. The TRAPPIST-1 star system is small enough it could fit within the orbit of Mercury. And if you could imagine yourself on one of these planets in this habitable zone, if it had an oxygen atmosphere, you could stand outside and look up at the sky and see all of these other planets that are literally, in astronomical terms, are very close to each other, moving through the sky in a less than a month period. You would wake up in the morning and see one planet rise in the horizon and set in the horizon just in one day. And they speculate that these planets might be tidally locked as well, so one side's always going to be facing the star. But it could be a very interesting place to visit. The next article I thought was interesting was this one about the Komodo Dragon having something in its blood that might assist in fighting antibiotic-resistant bacteria. I really didn't have much else to say about it, other than I think it's really freaking cool. Dragon's elixir will help us cure disease, yes! The next is a mild static compression of 15 gigapascals can turn graphite into hexagonal diamonds. This kind of diamond is over 50% stronger than your typical diamond and has a great deal of industrial potential. Our next story is on China approaching structural completion for its second aircraft carrier. China currently doesn't have much in the way of a blue water navy, but it does have high hopes. China's first aircraft carrier was a refitted Ukrainian ship that was acquired from the former Soviet Union. This particular ship will be completely Chinese built and designed. This aircraft carrier builds on the experience, research, and training from the first aircraft carrier. As well, they will more humanize this particular one, giving the crew greater space and more accommodations. Our next article is on the U.S. Department of Defense providing funding to reaction engines for some hypersonic wind tunnel tests. Reaction engines makes an air-breathing rocket engine. It's a new class of engine that's designed to allow a craft to operate from a standstill, take off from a runway, fly up to 5 times the speed of sound, then transition into a rocket mode, which will allow it to achieve orbital velocities. Reaction engines technology has the potential to leapfrog SpaceX and other attempts to make reusable rockets. The development of a hybrid engine of this nature would open up space travel to the masses like nothing else ever could. Our next story is about the Vasimir plasma rocket targeting 100 hours of continuous operation at 100 kilowatt power level early in 2018. Vasimir is an acronym for Variable Specific Impulse Magnetoplasma Rocket. It's a new type of electric propulsion that uses radio frequencies to excite a gas such as xenon into a plasma and then uses magnetic fields to direct that thermal energy into a directed jet. The Vasimir engine is game-changing technology that could open up the solar system to realistic human exploration. The last article I've chosen to review this week is one from the Auto blog titled "The Race for Autonomous Cars is Over. Silicon Valley Lost." Subtitled, "But there is still money to be made by tech companies in the automotive world." The gist of the article is that Google and Apple and Uber thought they were going to be able to out-innovate the car manufacturers, but what they are realizing is that there's a very good reason why the traditional car companies have been around for 100 years. The article later then goes on to say that these companies, Google and whatnot, while they might be giving up on making their own cars, they will still focus on somewhat of the technology. But more importantly, they were seeing benefits instead of looking at actual hardware, looking at mining the data your car could provide about you, where you're going, where you've been. And that got me really thinking about how technology in a vehicle can be great, but it can also be a really big hole into your privacy and allowing just not advertisers and businesses, but government and maybe even criminals to see where you're going, where you've been, see your patterns and routines. We really need to have some way for the common person to see this data and be able to lock it down. Okay, this was Kevin's Science Week in Review ending February 26, 2017. I plan on trying to keep this specifically to science topics. I will do quite a bit of politics throughout the week and other topics as well, but I want to try to keep the Week in Review specifically on science topics because that is one of my favorite topics to speak about. So thank you for watching and come back again.